I'm going to give it about another minute before I get started. Thanks, Dawn. I'm excited for tonight too. I enjoyed making this little pouch. All right, well, I'm going to get started in just a minute. I just want to introduce myself if we have any new watchers out there. My name is Julia Schwery, and I am an educational designer for ThermOWeb on the fabric side. I also have a blog called Inflorescence Designs, and there you'll find not only all of the ThermOWeb projects that I do, but additional projects and tutorials as well. First things first, I might have some friends on here who can answer questions as I do this. However, the way that I have things set up is I have two cameras, and when I'm over at my pressing and kind of working area, I cannot see any comments or questions. So if it doesn't get answered right away, I will try to answer it when I come over to my sewing station and when I take little breaks. And if it doesn't get answered before the end of the show, I promise I will go back and answer it this evening, and you'll be tagged in it so you can see when I answer your question. And if I reference any other projects, I will also link those to in the comments section at the end of the live. And yes, Dawn right there, she's happy to jump in and answer any questions with it, which is awesome. So we are going to get started. I'm going to head over to the other area and jump right in. All right. So you can already see this is what we're making tonight. It's a cute little, you can use it as a change pouch. Also, great thing to put candy in if you need something for the little ones for Easter. Adorable. It actually, I made it to go along with what was posted yesterday on the blog, which is this bunny bag. It fits right inside, just like that. So they were kind of a pair made together. So you can find the bunny bag on the blog, and then, of course, tonight we are making the little carrot pouch to go with it. So to get started, you will need the pattern, which that is on the blog. There's a link to it. And you'll want to cut out the carrot and the greenery. Now, I've already cut it out for you, so you don't have to watch me cutting paper. And first thing we need to do is we're going to layer, we don't need this right now. We are going to layer our lining and our front pieces together. And I have a specific way I like to do that, because since I'm going to be hand cutting these, I don't know about you, when I hand cut, it might be slightly off on one side compared to the other. So when I try to sandwich them back together, it might not be correct. So we're going to line them up exactly how we would be sewing them. So I've got I'm going to use these as the front tonight, and this is the lining, so that I have two different carrots. I have two daughters, and if they had the same carrot outside, I'm sure there might be some arguments on whose is whose. So when you line them up, you want them to be wrong side together. That way, when you cut it out, they're already facing the correct direction. And I'll do that again with this side. And then Of course, the two linings, I want them to be right sides together. Now I'm going to cut through all 4 layers at one time. And then you'll place your paper pattern on here. And you can just cut directly around this. I'm actually going to trace it, whichever you prefer to do. And of course, I'm just using a ballpoint pen. You can use a heat erase pen, but this is going to be up inside the seam allowance, so it really won't matter. Now I am going to take these off and then repin them so I can cut out all 4 layers together. Okay. So now we have our carrot shape. What you'll need to do next is you can set your linings aside. I keep them like that so I know which one's which. And we're going to need to cut out our fusible fleece. So again, you'll want to trace your carrot shape onto the fusible fleece. And fusible fleece is non-woven, so you can really go any direction you want. There's no grain line. And this project is great for if you have scraps of fusible fleece. Also works great with scraps of the other interfacing we're using, which is a medium weight fusible. And now when you cut this out, I always like to cut my fusible fleece just slightly smaller. And that is so it doesn't end up, it might end up a little bit in the seam allowance, but it helps to eliminate bulk, as well as it helps to eliminate getting any of the sticky adhesive onto if you have a pressing mat like I do. So I'm going to just cut this slightly smaller to fit inside my carrot shape. Of course, I still need to round out the bottom, but I like to kind of take a look and see how it's not quite 1/4 of an inch. It's a little closer over there, but my main concern is I have, from experience, gotten some of the adhesive on my mat, and it doesn't go away. Okay, so you need to cut out 2 of these. I prepared in advance. I already cut one out. And then these are going to get adhered to the back wrong side of the main outer fabric. So I already have my iron heated up. I always like to give it a press on one side, and then because the adhesive is actually on this side, I really like to press it on the fabric side. There's that one. for me, that first initial press on the actual fusible fleece just kind of holds it gently in place so I can turn it over. Okay. So these two go together, and these two go together. So one of these you can just set aside for now. This is going to be the back of our carrot, the side that does not have the zipper. Let me set this over and out of my way. The next part, we'll need our pattern again, and you're going to need to mark where this dotted line is. This is where we're going to be cutting. So that we can add our zipper in. It doesn't have to be exact, just nice straight line. And just make sure those are nice and lined up. I'm gonna put my iron out of the way so I don't end up burning myself. My line here and there, and it's, as you can see, it's just slightly over. It's about 2 1/4 inches down from the top, and we will cut right across. Now's the fun part. We're going to get ready to sew here in a minute. We are going to attach the zipper. The zipper I have is considered an 8-inch zipper, but actual usable zipper length is probably closer to 6.5. I suggest at least a 6-inch zipper. At least with these kind that I have, it usually measures from here to here. So yeah, that's about as long as your zipper is long enough to cover this. So to begin, I'm going to actually work with the bottom half. And I want my zipper this way. Sorry, I'm visualizing in my head how I want my zipper. Okay, so yes, I want it this way when it folds out. So you will place your lining side right side up, and your zipper right side up, and then your outer bag piece wrong side up, or right side facing down. And you'll want to line up all the layers and clip or pin in place so that it holds its shape on our way to the sewing machine. Now I'm going to go over to the computer and see if there's any questions or anything that maybe couldn't have been answered by Dawn or our other friends, and then I'll get sewing. I'm going to sew about 1/4 inch all the way across on here. Oh, thanks. The donut. That is my favorite pin cushion. I see the comment about the donut. I do actually have a tutorial on how to make that on my blog. It requires die cutters, but if you can just cut a circle in like a cute flower shape, you're good to go. And you can make your very own donut pin cushion. All right. So I'm going to change into my zipper foot. Put it on my zipper. And I'll link that too. I'll link so it's an easy find later. Because it was from, actually, I posted about that probably almost 2 years ago now. So, all right. Coming back over, as you can see, I have done my 1/4 inch seam across. And let me grab the iron again. We're going to just press this open. And press this open as well. Like that. All right, so now we have the bottom half of our carrot. And now we're going to do the top. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to lay our lining side face up. And this, since it's not like a regular, sometimes bags have like, they're square. So it's easier to line up. This one is not. So you have to just kind of eyeball where that's going to meet. See how it kind of creates that line. When it's a square, I mean, usually your edges all line up. But since we're doing an organic shape here. And then, of course, we're going to line this up with that. We're going to clip it in place. We're going to do the same thing again. I'm going to go over and sew 1/4 inch. Come back and press it. Creating a lot of noise over here with all my clips. And we're back again. And again, same thing. Press this up. And press the lining up. And they match almost perfectly. That's because of how we cut it. And there it is. We have the front of our carrot bag. So we're going to actually set this aside next. I'm going to set it aside with our backing because now we need to make our greenery. Let me grab that. For the green, it honestly looks like a little tree. I kind of like it. You'll need to have 2 pieces of green fabric. I like mine to be opposite colors. I think it just adds some fun to it, where one side, they're the opposite. You can make them all the same. You can make different color carrots. I mean, I think there's like red and purple and yellow and white carrots out there. Fun fact though, when you cut into them, I believe they're all orange. It's just the outsides that are different colors. My second passion, other than sewing, besides my family, of course, is I love gardening. So, all right, so I'm going to fuse this right here. Is medium weight fusible interfacing. Again, it is non-woven, so you can do it any direction you'd like. It doesn't have to be with the grain line. We're going to go up to the closest to the edge as possible. I might be able to use some of this as scrap later. And just with the fusible fleece, I like to give it just one little press and then I turn it over because of where the adhesive is. Now for this, you'll want to place your 2 little greens right sides together. And we're going to trace our shape. And it can be exactly as the pattern shows. It can be slightly off. It is natural. It is organic. That is what I love about this. It doesn't have to be crisp or perfect. And there it is. Now I am going to mark, I like to mark where I know I'm going to leave it open. You do want to leave open like a little section here, otherwise you won't be able to turn it right side out when we're done sewing it. Now for this, we are actually going to sew directly on the line. We're going to sew directly on our line, leaving this little section open. And I'll be back. And I'm actually going to look at some of the comments before I sew. Zippers, yes, they can be challenging, and I didn't mention it, but I think my zipper's the wrong direction from what I wanted it. But you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And it really just takes practice. I remember the first time I tried doing zippers, it was a nightmare. Well, I'll get started sewing. Turn this back down. I'm using both a cell phone and a laptop, and we don't need the zipper foot. Regular. Here is our little tree. I don't know what else to call it, just the carrot top, I guess. So what you're going to do is, once you've sewn around it, you're going to cut it out, about a 1/4 inch seam allowance around where you sewed. Now we do have some little notches in there we have to create, otherwise it won't lay flat. So I like to take my little scissors and cut really close, kind of a few little notches in there. That kind of helps ease that seam and allows it to lie flat when you press it. These curves will be okay, they're not very sharp. But definitely need to do these little corners and just make sure not to go into what you just sewed. I'm actually going to trim this down right here. It's pretty thick. I feel awkward in these scissors. I'm left-handed, But quite honest, I can't use left-handed scissors because my whole life I've used right-handed scissors. So actually using left-handed scissors feels weird. Okay, do we get all of them? And I always say double check, because trying to turn this right side out, it's not the easiest because it's a small opening and you don't want to have forgotten one of the corners and then have to turn it back inside out. So once you have trimmed it out, kind of clipped your corners, you can turn it right side out. And my trick for this is it's very tiny right there. Go all the way down to the bottom, kind of push it up and grab it. And I think I missed it. If there's a better way, someone please let me know. And we got it. Now I cannot find the thing I use to flatten out my curves. Do you ever just like drop something in wherever you're sewing and it just disappears? And even though you just dropped it, you can't find it? That's the case. So I took the lead off of a pencil and that's what I'm using. Gets the job done. It's not pointy, so it's not going to push through. So once you've got it turned right side out, you want to push out those curves. And then over here, you've got your opening. So we're going to press this flat and you'll want to turn under your opening. Now you don't have to worry about the bottom. That is going to be sewn into the seam allowance. You just need to turn the long side of the stem. And press it. And once you've done that, I like to give it a top stitch. Which reminds me, I did not top stitch on my carrot now that I'm thinking about it. So we're going to top stitch both together. So I'm going to top stitch just around this. It gives it a nice look, helps to close that opening. And I totally forgot, I like to add a top stitch right here and right here. So I'm going to go do those both at this right now. Gotta make sure I put my zipper foot back on. Top stitch. All right, so to repeat what I did, I top stitched my carrot top, and then I went and I top stitched along the zipper. I had forgotten to do that in the earlier step. So now it is actually time for assembly, because, so you didn't have to watch me do it twice, I had one prepared. But you would have to do two carrot tops. So to make things a little bit easier, I like to baste. So this can move around on you, and I don't want that. So I'm actually going to baste it with the SpraynBond basting adhesive, and I'm going to do that as well to the lining on the backing, as just kind of gives it a little extra security. Don't need that much. It'll just hold it in place, and make sure to do the top as well. All right. So we're going to need to place the back side of your carrot with the right side facing up. So I have the lining on the outside facing down. And it's at this point you will decide where you want your tops to go, but they need to be placed inside. Now for this one, you can see I placed them just slightly apart from each other, and I'm going to pin them in place, making sure that it's overlapping. Like that. Now we don't want them to be sewn into the seam when we're sewing, so we're actually going to fold them together and put a few pins in just to hold them. Actually, one will suffice tonight. The next step is to line your front piece right side facing down, and we're going to pin or clip all the way around. And actually, before I pin all the way around, make sure you open your zipper at least halfway, so that there have been times when I've sewn and it's been closed and I've been able to maneuver it to get it open. However, this is small and there's not a lot of wiggle space to maneuver your bag around to open the zipper. So definitely want to open that at least halfway. I'm actually going to put a clip right here where the zipper is. And I'm out of clips, so I'm going to pin the rest of the way. Okay, so I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to start anywhere I want, probably along the line here, and I'm going to sew all the way around, making sure I go back and forth slowly over the zipper. It's a stress point, so you want to make sure you have an extra stitches there, but do it slowly. You don't want to break any needles. Speaking from experience, definitely done that several times. And then come back around, and we're doing 1/4 of an inch. So 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Take just a little drink. So there it is. Sewn all the way around. I did reinforce right here. As I was sewing, I was thinking about how the keychain is on here and how there might be some tugging. So I reinforced again where the greenery is. So double checking that I made sure I caught every layer. And in the way that I cut it, that helped make sure that each piece was even. So I did, I caught it in everywhere. So you'll want to cut off the extending zipper, not with your fabric scissors. Okay. And then I do like to use pinking shears around my corners. Just right down here at the bottom. It's kind of a tight curve. It might help it, it might not. We'll see. And then of course cut these off as well. Now I'm not going to do it tonight because it takes some time, but you can do an overlock stitch. I would typically do like it's like a, on my machine it kind of reminds you of like a surging stitch, or you can do a zigzag to help prevent fraying. If you can also use the pinking shears, just make sure you don't cut into the seam that you just sewn. I'm not going to do it tonight for you. It does take a good 5 to 7 minutes just to go because it's a lot of stitching. So I will spare that, but I will go back and do that later. So we are going to turn it right side out. Fun part. So I like to do the top first. Pull out these and take that pin out. And work the curve. And then the bottom. And you know what? You don't even have, I mean, it's entirely personal preference if you want to do that around the edges. It's such a small little purse. Push out that carrot point. And there it is. I'm going to get the iron and press it. Okay. Now on this one, I have it turned into a keychain. I added some rivets, and we are going to do that tonight. Get to hammer. So I like to see where they overlap, just kind of naturally. You can kind of pull them together just slightly. And let me pull over. Now I have like a little kit. I think I got it on Amazon or something. It comes with a bunch of different ones. It comes with everything you need other than the hammer. And I will show you how to use it. First thing you need to do is to find where you're going to want it. And this one, you want it based off of the size of your keychain, which this might be too small. I do have bigger ones. Let me get that. So this one should work better. And we're going to use our awl and poke where we want it to go through. I know it's sometimes scary to just completely poke or cut through your projects once they're essentially finished, but it's okay. So that's through both of them. So now we know where they are. Now the awl never makes a big enough hole for this. So this is another scary part, is you find that hole and you just cut the tiniest little slit to see if you can fit the rivet through there. And I did. I got it through. Just like that. Before we go any further, I'm going to take this off. This absorbs the impact, which is not what we want from the hammer. And this table actually isn't even that great either. When I made this one, and when I do any rivets, I usually use concrete outside or in my basement. But we are in my art room today. So I have this piece of, it's like the example of my countertop for my kitchen. So we're going to try it. Fingers crossed it actually works. So you have your rivet face down. You take whatever this piece is called. I have no idea. It goes in like that. And then the little ring. They come with these little rings. You place that over top. If you've ever used like those cam buttons, it's very similar, but it's with metal. So you're hammering. The cam ones are plastic and you just squeeze it and that's how it presses it. But we're getting technical here with a hammer. And then this piece has a hole. It goes down. And we're going to hammer, and I apologize if it gets really loud. Almost. Sorry if it's so loud. Turn your volume down. There we go. We got one. We just got to do one more. So we're going to repeat the process. The hole's already there. We do have to cut it out just slightly because there's no way that the rivet is going to go through that tiny hole. And let's see. So that's the front. So the piece that sticks up goes on the right side. You put the little piece under it. The ring goes next. And down. And of course, this isn't an optional step. You still have a change pouch, whether you add this or not. Another suggestion you could do is maybe on the side over here, add like a tab for a keychain. And then it would be a keychain from this part instead of up here. That's always another option. All right. Turn your volume down again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. We got it. We're almost done. The final step is ultimately put your keychain on. I'm going to put it on this claw. They call it like a lobster claw clip. And I only had one. It used to be on this one, but now it's going to be on the new one. And slide. Through one. And through the other. And there you have it. Now I'm just going to point it out here very honestly. You see how this one's bigger? It's because when I made the first one, I forgot to print it 100% scale. So if you don't print it at 100% scale, it will be slightly smaller. But this is the 100% scale carat change pouch. All right. I hope you enjoyed tonight's live. I definitely enjoyed making it. This will be, of course, on the Facebook page, and I will upload it to ThermOWeb's YouTube channel in case you have trouble trying to find it again if you're scrolling through their Facebook. But by tomorrow around 10 o'clock, it will be on the YouTube channel page as well. So I'm going to go sit back down, see if there's any questions, and we'll be finished here in the next 5 or so. But once again, I want to thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope you really enjoyed it. You're welcome, Kristen. Thank you, Lorraine. Dawn, the rivets they're actually a lot easier when you have the concrete. That or some other hard surface. That idea of that Dawn to that fabric pull-through opening with the yarn. In my brain, I can see how that would work. I've never done it though. Yeah, I don't think I'd crack it. I do sometimes wonder, because it's the same kind of countertop in my kitchen, like if you're ever like tenderizing meat and you're pounding that. All right, well again, thank you all for joining. This will be uploaded to the YouTube by tomorrow mid-morning. And I hope you'll join me next month. I have another really fun project I'm really excited for, and I think you'll really like it. So thanks again, and everyone have a wonderful night.